And yeah, I mean, I ran out of time, but I'm about to finish up Revelations. Just to finish what I was saying, though, it's like once you get over all these things, once you become holistic, you start to see what Jesus was talking about. You start to see what the true mission, what the true purpose is, and that's becoming everything, becoming holistic and not being fearful of anything. Jesus said, doubt and anxiety is the main reason that people will not ever drink from the cup. Because I mean, they got the wisdom, they got the information. It's already there inside of them. Like I said, it's already inside of us. But a lot of us are impatient farmers, and I said I was even too. Come from the baby steps. Like one part of me wanted to be patient, that patient farmer, and the other part of me wanted to be impatient. And that was the battle I've been kind of having. Period, bro. Like I'm a very patient person, but when I really want something, bro, it's hard as fuck to be patient. So I still had to find that balance and that holistic view, and bring both of them ideas together. It just go to show what I am, though. But let's see. Let's get into it. I wanted to read the last of Revelations, and that was pretty much all the Revelations. I'm already like, bro, the Bible. I don't know if the Bible just got a lot of words in it, like the book. But when I read on the phone, bro, I be zooming through this shit. But yeah, I think like just looking at the book looks so intimidating for new age people. Just being realistic about how I look at life. Then I saw this Revelations 21, and I'm just gonna read all of it. Then I saw a new heaven, a new earth. The first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I only saw the city of New Jerusalem come down out of the heavens of God. And when it says no sea, we talked about the sea being the people, the dead, the sea of the dead. Just that's what they're talking about. And the sea was gone, the old heaven was gone, the old earth was gone. Well, the first earth or the first heaven. And the reason why is because that old way of living, like, bro, once you tap into a new frequency, that purification, like, you leaving all baggage behind, and where you going, everything will be provided. And that's the whole point. Like, we had that here, but we just wasn't in that human perspective, so we fucked up. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, come down out of the heavens from God, prepared as the bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice of the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with him, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. And in that same aspect of like, he's for the people of the God's children, he's always been our God, but now we're with him. Now we're conversing. Now we're constantly like in this presence of the God, and what your consideration of God is, that's where your perspective going to go. But for me, it's in my constant connection to everything I want to be connected to, because I purified everything I didn't want. So in that same aspect, now I'm connected to everything I do want. And I saw the holy New Jerusalem. That's a new soul, new city, a new mind, like, because you purified. Now you don't have those old things weighing you down, coming down out of the heavens from God. And it just go to show you we've been separate. Even though it was in us, it was a connection. It wasn't the full thing. Behold and God himself will be there as a God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and the death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for all former things has passed away, because now you're God. Now all that pain, all those things that we think are real, they're just concepts. Even the thing of love, but it's a concept. I was talking about how love is a label, and that's a restriction of what you can possibly do for somebody. Like, bro, love, I talk about love. I don't really need to get into that shit. Like, love is just a word, fam. What are you really doing with that energy? And I'm sure you can do way more than the ideas of love that's been around now. But I'm off subject. But just to go back to it, say no more death, no more crying, no more pain, bro. Just go to show, like, we'll be back in that. We'll be out of that cycle of life and death, point blank, period. And he will see, and he who has seated on the throne said, behold, I am making all things new. Also, he said, write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. And he said, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirst I will give from the spring of the water of life without payment. And the ones who conquered will have this heritage, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But as for the cowards and the faithless and the disdainable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, the sorcerers, the idolater, I don't know. And like all liars, there will be a portion there will the portion will be in a lake that burns with fire and sulfur in a second death. And that just go to show, like, it said a lot right there, but for the most part, it's just saying that now it is done. He is the Alpha of the Omega. He's out of the connection of life and death. He is the controller of life and death. And that's what we're trying to get to. We don't want to be a subject of the illusion of life and death. We want to be the controller of that illusion. And those who have conquered will have this heritage. That means the ones that conquer humanity. And when you hear conquering humanity, you might think of a war mentality of trying to destroy it, but it's really just getting over it and realizing what humanity is. Let's see. I'm going to go to 21:22. Because this pretty much is describing the kingdom. And it's describing it with physical shit, so it's not physical, it's spiritual meaning, but because all these things have spiritual properties, but it talks about different crystals being, like, you know, in the house. It's just talking about how beautiful it is. And like a lot of these crystals we have now have different properties, and that's what the pretty much the kingdom had, those properties. And then Revelation 21:22. And I saw no temple in the city, for it is a temple of the Lord of God, the Almighty, the Lamb. And this city has no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it its light, and the lamp of the Lamb. And just right there, bro. No temples are in the city, bro, because your mind is the temple. If this was a place of the mind, why would you need to build temples? Point blank, period. Just like this place is a thought part. Like, everything comes from thought in this reality. But the fact that we create temples, the fact that we don't worship ourselves in our mind, go to show how lost we are. But through purification, we'll realize, you know, our failures. And the city has no need for sun or the moon, because you got to realize the sun and the moon is a part of this limitation of structure. That's why we get tired and shit like that. It's a part of time, and we're not timeless. We're timeless beings. We're not a part of time. We're timeless beings. We're infinite. So being in this place, like I said, our body gets tired, but our spirit stays strong because we're infinite, bro. It just is what it is. But by its light will the nations walk, and the kings of earth will bring their glory into it. And just one more thing, like, if you're worshiping your mind and you're not worshiping the sun because you understand that's a product of your mind, same as the moon, like same as anything outside of you, like, bro, you only worship the creator of these illusions. And the fact that, like, we worship the sun, that's what the whole Jesus Christ story, he rises again, is about the fucking sun. And then we have so many other things about the moon and her phases and different mythologies, and like astrology have a bunch of that. And it's true and it's real because it's all to do to perspective of this reality. And through that perspective, you learn spiritual shit because it's based off spirit. It's just a restriction of it. And I talk about learning through nature to find out more about yourself, because it's a within as without thing. But you have to be trying to place that understanding within self and not, you know, anything outside of that. But like I said, we've started worshiping even these suns and these moons, and that's really what I'm saying. We worship trees, we worship all type of shit, and we don't worship ourselves, and that's the most craziest shit ever. And not even ourself, our mind, because ourself is part human and our mind is, you know, a little mix of both human and God, because, you know, we in this human body. But yeah, I mean, I just got a lot of wordy, and I hate doing that, but I mean, I was still understandable, but I just hate getting into all that shit, because I mean, it's a bunch of shit being said, and it's a bunch of ways you can break that shit down into better understandings. But it is what it is. Hopefully y'all followed with me. Let's see. But the light will the nations will walk, the kings of earth will bring it to their glory into it, and its gates will never be shut by day, and there will be no night there. Think about it, man. Like, we don't understand how much restriction we have to this reality. Like, we be wanting to stay up, we be wanting to work longer, we be wanting to work out strong, like, but our body's just not strong enough. Our body's just not prepared for it. Because it's of this reality, just like these suns and the moons that we created from our mind is of this reality. These physical bodies that we see are fake illusions. The only thing is worth worshiping is your mind, the creator of the illusions, the understander of all illusions. But nothing unclean will ever enter it, nor who does what is distasteful or false, but only those who are written in the Lamb of the Book of Life. And we already talked about the Book of Life, and that's just people. If you were meant to be righteous, you're gonna be righteous. And I mean, you can still pretty much get wiped out of that book, but for the most part, if you're doing everything you need to do, your fate is sealed. But I don't like to say that because people get too big-headed. The angel showed me a river of water, bright as the crystal, flowing through the throne of God and the Lamb, through the middle of the street of the city. Also, either sides of the river, the tree of life, with 12 kinds of fruit, yielding fruit for each month. These leaves and trees were no longer healing of the nation. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I read two different sentences. These leaves of the tree were for healing of the nations, and pretty much like the 12 people, or the 12 fruits were the 12 tribes. That whole river was in the mind. That's like the Nile River, and versus being split on two different sides. And it'll always yield fruit, and it'll be good fruit. Pretty much just saying we'll be producing from the mind, and it'll always be good because we went through that purification stage. Let's see what else I want to say about that. And then the tree of life. There's one thing I missed about my last video is understand the tree of life and the tree of death. It's two different trees. And the fact that we only learned about one tree just go to show how we're not holistic. But that was more about my last video. Jesus is coming. And I guess I have to say this because it says Jesus is coming back, but if you believe He's gonna save you, and that for everything I read you feel like you still don't have to do work, bro, it is what it is. I don't really know what else to tell people. Let's see, it says Revelation 22:12, behold, I am coming soon, bring my recompense with me to repay each one for what he has done. Bro, He's literally just doing his job. You did the work, and now He's paying you at the end of the week. That's what happens. So it's not like He's giving you something or saving you from something that you wasn't already. He's just paying you what you earned. Simple as that. Just like if it was the devil or something. He's paying you what you've earned. Simple. People fear that. It just got to show what perspective you're on. If you've been doing the right work, if you've been doing godly work, you're not stuck in this human fleshly works and shit like that, you're going to get paid some good shit. Point blank period. Do you believe that or not? I don't know what to tell you, bro. But I'm in this knowing I'm in my knowing process of knowing I'm good. Because, bro, at the end of the day, if I'm not good, I don't know what to say. So it does say He come back. And I mean, if that's what, like I said, I'm not going to sit up here and say He don't come back. But I'm not waiting on nobody. I'm sorry. That's just my energy, bro. I'll meet you at the door. Like when you gotta wait on people to pick you up, when you got your, like, this is my last example, I'm out of here. When you don't have a car, you get tired of people always you wait on them to come pick you up. So when you get your car, you start to drive everywhere yourself. Even when you can meet with somebody, you're like, nah, I don't want to stay there, because you might want to stay there longer. You might want to leave earlier. So you want to drive your own car. And that's the approach I look at it. I got my own vehicle. I got my own temple. I'm going to do my own thing and figure it out. And if somebody going to meet me there if I get high enough, good. That's fine with me. But until then, bro, I'm doing the work on my own, because I ain't had no help since. I ain't had no help since I've been here. So I mean, why am I looking for it now? Like I said, maybe once I do enough work, which same with the stuff with Doctor Strange, and same with a lot of movies. Once you do enough work, your mentor will be like, all right, you're ready to get help now. Now you're ready to start training. And if that's the case, like the Matrix, with Neo and Morpheus, if that's the case, like if I'm training and one day I'll be deemed eligible, fine. Like I said, we all trying to be right fruit. That's understandable. But if you out here just trying to wait on somebody, bro, thinking your mentor looking for you, I don't know what to tell you, man. I really don't know what to tell you. Like, you really shouldn't be looking for your mentor. Be your own mentor. And hopefully a nigga will come, maybe they won't. And that's the same with boyfriends, girlfriends, maybe hoping your parents to change, like anything, bro. Hoping a job will come, nigga. Create your own shit. Create your own temple. I mean, you already got your own temple, but just do your own creations, man. And I'm up out of here. I don't really got no more videos to talk about. Plus, it's hot. Deuces.